And so I'd say that if you're either dealing with somebody who you've been burned before, if you're new, or maybe you're that person in charge that has a really hard time just letting go, I say start small.
Welcome to Engage Presents. I'm Engage co-founder and president Jake Olson. In this interview series, I ask Engage talent the most common questions we hear from event planners to help you get to know them and their stories in 15 minutes or less. Thanks for listening. Welcome to another episode of Engage Presents. I'm Engage president Jake Olson, alongside a very special guest today, Miss Jenn Donahue, former U.S. Navy captain. You were a Commodore for an 1,800 personnel regiment. You are a civil engineer who works on very high-profile, large-scale projects. I'm sure we can't talk about some of those, Jenn. I don't know if I'm allowed to, so I'll make sure you keep me in line if I ask anything that I'm not allowed to know. But thank you so much, Jenn, for being with us today.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. It's nice to finally meet you sort of in person.
Is there any project, by the way, that you can't tell me about?
No, I can tell you about everything at this point. Everything has been declassified.
Okay, good. All right. I just didn't want people showing up at my front door in a couple minutes. So, but tell us though. So, how did you get into the service? Why the Navy? Kind of just walk us through your beginnings to your military career.
I was an ocean engineer at Texas A&M, and I was looking at all of my friends that were going down to Houston. They were going to be practicing, and I just thought that just sounded like so, I'm sorry, but boring. And I had to get out and I needed to see the world. I needed to experience it. I needed to meet new people and new cultures. And I decided, you know what? What's the best way to do that? I'm going to go join the Navy. And I did, and I got the chance to just travel all over the world. I got to meet some of the most fascinating people. I've been to Iraq, I've been to Afghanistan. They sent me to Fiji 3 times. So it has just been an absolute thrill to be part of the Navy. I even got to do drilling and blasting in Alaska in the winter.
Wow.
My career has just been like all over the place, but it gave me the opportunity to get out and really understand who people are and how they function.
I imagine so. Alaska in the winter, and then Iraq and Afghanistan probably during the summer times, or just at least in the heat. So, what kind of explain the two different temperatures there? What was the hottest? What was the coldest when you were at those places?
When we were in Alaska, unfortunately, we didn't have any thermometers, but I do know that it snowed on us about 6 months. There was this one time, unfortunately, we were living in little huts, little wooden huts, and my door opened outward, but it was facing north. So whenever the snow came in, I actually had to get on the radio and call my guys to have them dig me out of my little hut so that I could just run to the bathroom. I mean, it's really kind of embarrassing when that happens, but really cold there in Alaska. Now, Iraq and Afghanistan were something really different. We were in Iraq in the summertime. At 9 o'clock in the morning, I noticed that it was 118 degrees. And I only know this because the thermometer that was on the wall was pegged out. I have no idea how hot it actually got, but just knowing that it was 118 at 9 o'clock in the morning was enough for me.
Oh my goodness, that is absolutely insane. Your nervous system had to be yelling at you. And you built a bridge over there, correct, over the Euphrates.
I did. Uh, so some people might be wondering, why is a Navy person in Iraq or Afghanistan? It's because I'm a builder. So the Navy has a very small segment of the population, and we do construction for the Navy, typically for the Marine Corps. So again, you can go on planes, you can go on ships, you can go on submarines, but a lot of us are land-based. And so what we do is we drive out to the middle of nowhere, start trucks, point the guns out, and then we build a base in the middle. The Marines then come in, they occupy that base, we pack up our gear, and we go drive down the road, and we do it all again. One of our jobs was to build the second longest float bridge in the world, and it was across the Euphrates River. And this was so exciting because what happened was whenever we were able to build this, it cut down the travel time for a lot of the coalition troops from 6 hours to only 20 minutes. So this
Wow.
allowed them to get out there and really go after the insurgents and all the other bad guys that we were dealing with. So just by putting in this float bridge, which was also very complex, we worked with the Marines, we worked with the Army also on this, but just getting this float bridge was just immense for us to try to turn the tide.
I can't even imagine one working that heat, and then also a different type of heat too. I mean, you're concerned the entire time you're building that you'll be under attack.
We were, and there were times that we were potentially under attack, not just from insurgents, but also from the weather. We knew that we were in an area where there was a lot of insurgents that were coming through. It was called rat lines, where basically the insurgents had, the ability to move freely. And so we had them, but as CBs, which is what we're called in the Navy, we build and we fight. And so each one of us is trained on automatic weapons, rifles, pistols, things like that, so that we are able to protect ourselves while we're building at the same time. But we also had these impressive weather events. They're called haboobs. And I know that makes some people giggle, but they're really, really large dust storms. So we would have dust storms come in and it would black out everything for about 3 days straight. I mean, you couldn't see more than about 25 yards. That's how bad the dust storms are over there. So we had to deal with the weather. We had to deal with insurgents. We had to deal with people out in the middle of nowhere. And are they able to get food? Are they able to get water? Are they able to have the construction material that they need? Are they able to get fuel for all of their different dozers and everything else? So it was a very challenging project.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that sounds, I better not hear any other construction person complaining ever, because if you can build something during that, I gotta say, that is really impressive. I don't use cuss words on here often, Jen, but you are a badass, truly. That's impressive. So, but okay, so talk to me after military. What led you to want to be a leadership speaker? I mean, obviously you had ample experience being a leader in certainly situations like you just explained, but kind of what led you to want to go and speak and share those messages?
To be honest, I hadn't even thought about being a speaker. I was super happy. I run my own engineering company, but one of my very good friends is a very prolific speaker. She's actually probably one of the most booked speakers in the United States. And we were having a really nice conversation, and she just asked me, have you ever thought about telling your story? And my first answer was no. But then I started to think about it, because I knew that I was going to be retiring from the Navy soon. And I want to give back. I want to help other people. I really believe I was put on this earth so that I can help other people, whether it's getting over their own self-doubt, their imposter syndrome, helping them become better leaders so that they understand their people, so that you can build trust with them. Whenever we were out there building along the Euphrates, man, you had to have absolute trust in your team in order just to survive. Think about it in the business sense. We have to build trust with our personnel so that they can be the best that they can be. We can't micromanage them. We can't do all of these things. We have to let them flourish. That's how we keep our personnel. And so as I was starting to think about all this, I realized I have so many lessons learned that are also applicable to the business world and just to your every average person. And so I thought, this is my chance. This is my chance to help others.
No, that's amazing. That's such a great way of coming at it, just having that mindset of wanting to help, having that purpose-driven mindset of, hey, I'm here to help others. That is very special, and that comes through authentically. Just speaking from experience too. So that's so awesome to hear that. You kind of talked about when fear prevents, someone from kind of authentically leading. Can you kind of express and what that means and give some advice to someone who may be struggling with that?
Absolutely. I found really 3 reasons why people don't necessarily trust, and they're afraid to trust at work. A lot of times they've been burned before. There's always that one person that's on your team, on your department, wherever it might be, that might stop you from really trusting the rest of your team. Another reason why is maybe you're new. Maybe you're new to the position. Maybe you're new to leadership. Maybe you're new to the company, whatever that might be. And you feel like you have all this pressure on you. You need to perform. You need to show that you're the right person for that job. And so a lot of times we just say, you know what, I'll just do all of this myself. And the third reason that I found a lot of times why people are afraid to trust is because sometimes it can be terrifying. If you're the head person and everything is relying on you, is the project going to be done on time? Is the mission going to be complete? All of that. And just realizing that if something screws up, this is all going to reflect on me. And it's really hard for people to just let go.
Thank you so much, Captain Jenn Donahue. And if you want to learn more about Jenn, please visit letsengage.com. Jenn is obviously available to speak and does a heck of a job at it, like she's done with every other job she's been given in life, as you can't tell. So Jenn, thank you again so much for joining us today. Thank you for your service so much for keeping us safe and serving this country. We really appreciate it. And thank you again for giving us your time today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.